Hey guys, welcome back to the garage. Today we're working on a customer's snowblower. It's a Yardman made by MTD. Customer complained of a no start. He said he put a new spark plug in there. He thinks there's no spark because it won't fire. He used the electric start and it just kept cranking over until raw fuel was coming out the exhaust. So I think we got a carburetor issue. It could be a spark issue. But what I did was I disconnected the spark plug wire from the spark plug. I put in my little inline tester and connected back onto the spark plug here. So we're going to see if the coil's making spark. Still doesn't guarantee the spark plug's actually working, but it does tell us that the coil's going to be making spark. So it's going to be loud because I'm going to use the electric start. But we're going to have a look here to see if we can see that little light flashing. Here we go. We got spark. Yeah, we got spark. Okay, so I'm thinking fuel. We're definitely going to pull the bowl off of this thing because I could see from the side that the bowl is it's pretty corroded. This machine is a backup machine for him, so it sits more than it gets used. So we're going to pull that bowl off. We're going to go through that carburetor. Let's have a look at a couple other things to start. It is making a funky noise inside the belt guard here. So I'm going to pull that off and have a look. Check to see what we got for oil. Doesn't look too bad, a little dirty. Let's do a sniff test. Well, it smells like gas, so that needs new. See what we got in here. In the fuel tank. Oh, we got a little screen. Pop that screen out. Got a flashlight. Looks like we got some floaties in there. That's the pickup. It looks like there's definitely some junk floating around in there, so we'll probably have to take that tank off and flush it out. And while it's here, we'll do a general quick once over, make sure everything's good for them. Make sure all the cables are working the way they should be working. Notice something funky with this control here. This is the Auger control. It's very stiff and it pulls that cable. But when I release this, it doesn't actually spring back, so that cable is very loose now. And that is there's an arm inside that puts tension onto the auger belt or releases the auger belt tension, so it might just be seized up, might just be rusty. We'll have a look at that. Another thing I noticed while I did a quick little walk around was the gear selector gets very stiff down to your first gear. Almost, I don't want to pull it. It's so tight, I don't want to pull it into reverse. I don't want to break cables. That runs off a little tiny cable here that pulls this lever. So we'll pull the belly pan off and have a look inside there and see what happens. Yeah, see if you can hear that. Something's flopping around in there. Might be a chunk out of a belt flopping around. But we'll get you in a stand. I'll figure out a plan of attack. And let's see if we can get this thing working for the customer again. Hold tight. Okay, so I've already gone ahead, pulled the spark plug out. I did check for spark at the existing spark plug, and it's fine. It is sparking okay. So let's get into the bowl of the carburetor here. There's no fuel shutoff valve, unfortunately, on this machine, but we got a rag here. We'll catch what we can. I'm just going to open the bowl drain first. See what kind of treats we have coming out of there. Not much. It's kind of blubbing out of there. Gurgling a little. Just crack the fuel cap loose. There's hardly any fuel in it. I just cracked the fuel cap loose so it drains a little easier. Drain what we can into the rag. I tried to take that tire off to get us a little more room in there, but unfortunately it's seized on the shaft, and I don't think we want to get into that. If he requests it, I will. No problem. So now we'll crack the bowl nut loose. The bolt in this case. He's dribbling some fuel. A little bit of crud in there. Nothing too serious. I can just wipe out with or hit it with a little brake clean and give it a wipe. I think probably what it was is water in the bottom of the bowl. A little bit of water in there is definitely going to cause us some grief. There's fuel everywhere now. Still dripping. Let's have a quick look in there. Pull the float pin out. Pull the float out with the needle. Have a look at the needle. Needle looks pretty good. It's not distorted. Float isn't full of fuel. That's good too. Actually, it's quite clean in there. Quite clean. There's a jet up inside there where I took the bolt out of. It looks clear. It's hard to tell. I think I'll try and get a screwdriver up in there and pull that jet out. Let's see how that works for us. Try this fancy thing. See if it fits. And no. Try this one. Certainly would be nice to get this wheel out of the way. Crack it loose. There we go. Working by fingertips on the other side of the tire. I think what it was is a bunch of water in there, and then the spark plug got soaked with water and didn't want to fire. That might be fun to try and get out of there. I may have to tip the machine down and let that fall out by gravity. If I can't get it to wiggle itself out. Alright, hang on, I gotta tip that down. Clear the stuff off of it. Back of it here, so I don't throw it all over the floor. Well, the jet didn't come out, but it's pouring gas everywhere. Try and get that same little pickup in there and wiggle that out while it's down on the ground here. Hang on, I'll get back to you. Alright, so I got the jet out there finally. Completely soaked the rag full of gas though. And a little bit of the tire. And after all that, the jet was perfectly clear. Not even a speck of dirt in it. So we'll get that installed. Back in there. Whoa, there we go. Come on, find your home. There we go. A little snug. I'm actually surprised to find that carburetor so clean. That's what leads me to believe that it was just water. Snowblowers, especially if they sit outside, carburetors get full of water because there's no air filters on them. There's nothing to keep the water out, no barrier. So when I have to store a snowblower, even a customer snowblower, if I got to keep it outside for any amount of time, I put a garbage bag over the engine. Tends to help. Just checking that. It's hard to check the float ball when it's not on a bench, but just looking to see where the needle stops and what position the float is in. It's about level, so that'll be about fine. Actually, you know what? Before this stuff falls out, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to tip it back onto its wheels, and I'm going to put a cup or something underneath there to catch that fuel. I'm just going to let the tank drain itself. That way I can get in there and I can wipe out any of the debris that's in there. There's a bunch of rust and dirt floating around. I'll wipe that out, make sure all the water's out of it. If it was water. I saw one or two little blobs of water rolling around in there in the gas tank, so we'll go from there and see. Like I said, unfortunately there's no fuel shutoff on this. My own snowblower, my personal snowblower is a Husqvarna. It does have a valve, a shutoff valve for the fuel. And what I normally do is when I'm done snowblowing, I shut the fuel valve off, and I let the snowblower continue to run until it runs out of gas. That way I know the bowl is empty. Mine also has a drain on it, like similar to this one. You could do that way as well, but it's messier. It's a lot cleaner just to let the snowblower run itself out of gas. Okay, so I'm going to dump the rest of the fuel out of this thing and move on to the next thing. Okay, got the carburetor bowl back on there. The fuel tank is empty. I wiped it out, so there shouldn't be any crud in there anymore. While we got it up on its nose like this, I'm going to pop this pan off, see what's going on with that shifter. There's a friction wheel in there that gives you all your gears and your drive, and that usually is what causes the grief. The shaft that it slides on gets rusty. That may not be the case in this one, but we'll get in there and have a look anyway. Sometimes you pull that belly pan off, you find a pile of mouse nest in there. That's actually not a bad unit. It's got gear drive, no chain in there. Friction wheel doesn't have any flat spots on it. The drive wheel is a little dusty and crusty. We're going to wipe that all off with brake clean and a rag and clean that up. We're going to take a little brake clean on there and clean it up. The shaft is dry. And this is the friction wheel. So right now it's in top gear, so 6-speed. As you go closer to the center, it goes slower and slower. And then you go this side of center, it gives you your reverse gears. Let's see what is going on with that lever. I don't want to go much further than that. Even if I manually pull this, it's very tight. So that would be a reverse over here. Jeez. It could just be a lack of lubrication. Combination of where it goes through all this assembly and no lubrication on that shaft either, the drive shaft. So let's get the shaft lubed up. We're going to wipe it down with a rag, make sure it's nice and clean. We're going to put some lithium grease on there. Lithium grease is not typically affected so much with by temperature. Being a snowblower, it's used in cold temperatures, and if you put regular grease on there, sometimes gets all clumpy and thick, hard to move. I'm just going to use, instead of brake clean, I'm just going to use some penetrating oil to clean that. Penetrating oil makes a good cleaner for grease, to clean grease off, and it's also a lubricant. So let's clean this side. It's a 6-sided shaft. We'll give that a little wipe. We'll move the gear shifter over that side. We'll clean this side here. Get most of the penetrating all off now. You don't want to use penetrating oil on the drive disc or on the friction disc, because it'll slip. Let's see if I got a little bit of brake clean left in this can. Not even a dribble. Not even a dribble. I got something else though. That's going to work too. But I got something else I can use. This will work. Nice and dry. You don't want to soak that wheel too much. It is rubber. Just want to give it a nice little clean like that. Make sure when the cleaner dries that it's a nice dull surface. That tells you there's no oil left on it. Okay. That's good. Sure it's dry. Even water or snow on here can cause that to slip. We got some lithium grease. Doesn't take much, you just want to get a little coating on there. Being extremely careful to avoid the drive disc or the friction disc. Just enough to put a light coating on there. Put too much on there, sliding back and forth can eventually wipe it off and it'll drop into places you don't want it to drop. So that's that side. Get a little tiny bit on this side. Just enough to coat it. Get carefully with a rag, we don't want it to spray anywhere. Gonna get a little penetrating oil in here where that pivots through the body. Don't want any drips. There's another pivot here. Let's see. Oh, there's more pivots. It's tight there too. This is where the cables hook up. On hurt, put a little bit of lube everywhere. Jeez, that's tight. There's a spring in there that's forcing it this way. So I have to overcome spring pressure to pull it over that far. It's quite tight, actually. That poor little cable is doing a lot of work pulling that over. Well, at least it moves now. It does move with the lever. It's you got to put an effort in, but I don't feel like I'm gonna pull the cable in half just to move it. put a little bit of lube on the pivot itself up here on the handle. I'm just using penetrating oil. Well, that's easier. I wouldn't go so far as to say that I like that design. That'd be a bit of a stretch. But it is what it is. We're going to work with what we got. So basically we're all set in here. That's our drive. When you push the drive lever down, this disc moves towards the friction disc. That all seems to be working okay. That's nice and free. So we're done in here. We're going to put the belly pan back on. I'll lower it down back onto its wheels again. And we'll see what's making that awful sound under the belt cover. Okay, one bolt on either side, one here and one there. See, we can see here where the belt has been hitting that cover. Well, that couldn't have been the racket. The belt's not moving. Oh, yeah. The belt is kind of flapping around there. Even when I just pull it, the backside of the belt on the loose side is just kind of flopping around. That is the auger belt, which is not doing too good. There's hardly any tension on that. Yeah, that's too loose. So on this side, on this machine, there's no adjustment on the cable to make that tighter. The adjustment is made on the pulley. You would loosen the bolt and the nut on this idler pulley and move it closer inwards, and it'll put a little bit more tension on that, on the belt when you get it where you need to go. Check the drive belt. It's a little tired, but it's kind of worn, but it's not crazy bad. The auger belt's in nice shape actually. It's not bad at all. Still see the numbers on it, so we're okay there. There's a pivot bolt down in here. I'm going to hit with penetrating off. That way the return spring can do its job and return properly. Be careful not to get the belt from spraying down in here. This stuff is excellent, by the way. Seafoam Deep Creep. I am not sponsored in any way by Seafoam. I buy it myself. But it's got to be some of the best penetrating oil I've used. Yeah, see, that's even releasing better than it was before. I think we did pretty good there. So now I'm going to loosen this bolt. I'll move the pulley in a little bit. There's not much adjustment there. There's a little bit. We'll see if we get a little more tension on that belt. What size do I need there? 9/16 looks like. Yeah, that'll do it. Oh, jeez. Oh, yeah, that's tight. For sure it didn't need to be that tight. Move it over a little. Is it gonna? The hole is slotted. Well, it may not be slotted. Maybe two holes side by side. Just can't see. Well, off it comes. Let's have a look-see. Duck that idler pulley out of there. Let's see what's going on. Bearing's good. Okay, so let me get you a close-up of that. So it's not slotted. Well, it's kinda. Hang on one sec. I'll get you in there and we'll have a look at it. So it's not just a slotted hole where that bolt will slide over. It actually is more like a figure 8 type looking thing. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick that angle. Sure it is. So there's a loose position and a tight position. The bolt, because of the little knobs in the middle there, the bolt won't slide over. So I actually have to take it out of this hole and put it into that side. That's good, because that's about how much I needed to move it to make it work. Okay, back in the stand you go. Be nice to have you guys that close all the time, but both of us can't fit in there. So move the bolt over, put our idler pulley back on. That should give us the tension we need on that auger belt. And likely, when it needs a new auger belt, that bolt will probably have to be put back into the other spot. Otherwise, the augers may turn when you don't want them to turn. Just a little bit of drag on the belt may turn them. It's a dangerous situation. I'm not sure if this machine has it, but most modern-ish machines have a brake on that auger pulley. So when you release, as soon as you release the lever, the brake actually stops the augers from turning. Okay, so get that crank down to 1,000 like it was before. Oh, that's better. Yep, perfect tension on that belt now. There we go. I mean, you can work on snowblowers every single day. And while a lot of them are similar, some of them do have their unique designs, their unique features, or their own way of going about things. Even year to year on the same brand of machine, they change the way they do things. So, oh, that'll be perfect. All right, let's get that heat back in there. That's set. I think at this point I'm ready to put some fuel in it and fire it and get that back going where it should be. And then change oil. Can't even hear it flapping anymore. Yeah, the belt's not even hitting the cover anymore, so that little bit of tension pulled the belt away from the cover. It's all good so far. Okay. Gas tank is cleaned out. I'm not going to change oil yet. I want to run it. I want to get the engine warm to get more of the oil out faster. Run a little bit. Make sure that all that is idling properly. The high speed is proper, and go from there. I got to go out to the other building and get some non-ethanol gas. I'll be back in a minute. All right, we got the garage door open. Both doors. Got a fan blowing outside. I don't want to fume myself to death, so let's check her out. Choke. You know what, I'm going to try without choke. Put it on turtle, in between turtle and rabbit. We'll make it a rabbit turtle, or a turtle rabbit. Couple of primes. I'll pull start it instead of electric. Let's see what happens. Oh, smoke. A little choke maybe. Sounds like it's running a little slow, so I'm just going to check it. Oh, that's about right. It is smoking pretty good though, so maybe I'll drag it out and let it run outside for a minute. Could be some of the fuel that got spilled in there on top of the muffler. It looks more like it's burning off the muffler. Yeah, it's definitely smoke coming off the muffler. Well, I don't want it to ignite, so I'm just going to push it outside, let that burn off before I fire it up again. It runs. It's alive. 3,400 RPM. It's just fine. Should be okay. Alright. We'll let that burn off and I'll do a rerun and make sure it's not smoking. Customer's going to call and tell me the thing's on fire or something, so we'll be back in a minute. Well, once we ran it for a bit, it showed its true colors. Literally. That's pretty dark. So it was well due. It's nice and warm. It's flowing out real nice. It's definitely going to get all the oil out of it, so we'll let that drip out for a while. We'll fill her up with the appropriate viscosity. It's calling for 5W30 in this. I've got some Mobile 1 full synthetic. We'll pop that in there for him. This one's just about done. A few things I did off camera. Spent a little more time on it than what's actually shown in video, but I don't want to drag things out. You don't need to see every little thing, but actually some of the details are nice. So that's it. Next steps, drain plug back in, top her up with oil, and call the customer. Tell him he's ready. We're expecting snow later tonight and for the next couple of days. So until the next video, guys, thanks for joining me. Don't forget to click that like button, the thumbs up. I like seeing thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell icon. That'll notify you when I upload new videos. More random stuff in the garage. Don't really know what it's going to be. We're working on, so thanks again, guys. Till the next video, take care.